Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. territory, rather than a full-fledged state, is a complex issue of deep historical, political, and economic roots. To explain why Puerto Rico didn't become a U.S. state, we need to delve into its history and the various factors that have shaped its relationship with the United States. Historical background: Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory in 1898 as a result of the Spanish-American War. Prior to this, it had been a Spanish colony for centuries. The Treaty of Paris in 1898 ceded Puerto Rico to the United States, and this marked the beginning of Puerto Rico's unique political status. 1. Cultural and language differences. One significant barrier to Puerto Rico becoming a U.S. state is the cultural and language divide. Puerto Rico has a distinct culture, with a strong Spanish influence, and Spanish is the predominant language spoken on the island. This cultural and linguistic difference has created a sense of identity and attachment to Puerto Rican heritage that some residents may feel is incompatible with full integration into the United States as a state. 2. Economic considerations. Puerto Rico's economy also plays a role in its status as a territory. The island has faced economic challenges for decades, including high unemployment rates and a significant debt crisis. Some argue that these economic issues would present significant challenges if Puerto Rico were to become a state, as they would require substantial federal assistance and resources. 3. Political dynamics. The political dynamics within Puerto Rico itself have been a major factor in its status as a territory. There has been a long-standing debate about the island's political future, with three primary options considered: statehood, independence, or maintaining the current territorial status. While there have been efforts to hold referendums on Puerto Rico's status, the results have been mixed, reflecting the divided opinions among Puerto Ricans. 4. U.S. political considerations. On the U.S. side, the political landscape has also played a role. The question of whether to admit Puerto Rico as a state is a contentious one in U.S. politics. Statehood would potentially alter the balance of power in Congress, as Puerto Rico would gain representation in the House of Representatives and potentially the Senate. This has led to varying levels of support and opposition among U.S. politicians. 5. Concerns about assimilation. Some Americans have expressed concerns about the assimilation of Puerto Rico into the United States if it were to become a state. They worry about how the island's unique culture and identity would be preserved in the face of Americanization. This concern has been a significant factor in debates about Puerto Rico's status. 6. Legal and constitutional questions. There are also legal and constitutional questions surrounding Puerto Rico's potential statehood. The process for admitting a new state is outlined in the U.S. Constitution, and there are debates about whether Puerto Rico's status as a territory would need to change before it could become a state. Some argue that Congress would need to pass legislation enabling a transition, while others believe that a straightforward referendum result in favor of statehood would be sufficient. 7. International implications. Puerto Rico's status as a territory also has international implications. As a territory, Puerto Rico is not a fully sovereign entity, and it does not have the same international recognition and rights as an independent nation. Becoming a state would alter its international status, potentially affecting diplomatic relationships and trade agreements. In conclusion, the status of Puerto Rico as a U.S. territory rather than a state is the result of a complex interplay of historical, cultural, economic, political, and legal factors. While there have been ongoing debates and discussions about Puerto Rico's future, there has not been a clear consensus among Puerto Ricans or U.S. policymakers about their path forward. The question of Puerto Rico's status remains a contentious and unresolved issue, with a range of perspectives on what would be the best course of action for the island and its people.